Our next speaker that we've got is a friend of mine, Amanda Slavin, and she's currently the CEO and founder of Catalyst Creative, which is an experience studio focused on helping cities, brands, and institutions flourish by developing educational and inspirational strategy. She's working to fill the void between institutionalized education and basic human emotions. We're thrilled to have her in Omaha finally, and let's give a big, warm Omaha welcome to Miss Amanda Slavin. Hey, have fun.
I will.
Have fun.
Awesome. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. Are you awake? Kind of. I saw like 5 people say that. Are you awake? Okay, cool. I like to do that. I was a teacher, so if I start treating you like first graders, please tell me to stop. So I'm going to be talking about engagement today. And before I jump into what I actually mean by engagement, I'm going to tell a little bit about my story. So as a student, I was the type of student that sat in my chair and really was wriggling around and trying to kind of get off my chair and move around the classroom because I was very, very bored. And my mom thought I was a perfect student until she literally walked by my kindergarten classroom and looked inside and saw me like a pretzel wriggling in my chair, and she was mortified, like, what is wrong with my daughter? And so she had me tested for ADD, and I didn't have it, but what I did have was a case of the fact that I was just not engaged. I wanted to be able to move around. I felt like it wasn't fair for a little 6-year-old to have to sit in a classroom, sit in a chair for 6 hours a day. And so I ended up going to school for education, and I got my master's in curriculum and instruction. And while I was writing my thesis, I wanted to explore what it looked like to actually personally connect with every single student in the classroom, like that student, like that I was, how to emotionally engage with each and every person. And so I wrote my thesis on engagement. I created a metrics of engagement called the 7 levels of engagement. And then I graduated in 2009 during the recession with my master's in education, and I ended up in hospitality and marketing opening sports bars. That is a whole different conversation, but what I will say is people would ask me, how could I be in events after education? And I would say, if I could sell math to a 6-year-old, I'm pretty sure I could sell an open bar package to a bunch of bankers. And so it's a similar concept. You're creating an experience, you're building community, you're connecting with people. But after a few years of building this company into from a $3 to $30 million organization, now they have properties all over the country, I felt disconnected from that part of me that was a teacher. Here I was teaching people how to read, teaching people how to tell time. They were little people, but teaching people how to be the best versions of themselves. And then I applied that understanding and engagement in marketing, but lost that part of me that was focused on impact. And so I started volunteering on the side, creating experiences while I was at my full-time job, and really volunteering for events such as this. And I met my business partner, who's the CEO of Zappos. His name is Tony Shea. He actually spoke here. Raise your hand if you've actually seen him speak. He's a zany dude. Trust me. So we ended up building Catalyst Creative, and the word catalyst is an enzyme that turns passive in something from passive to active. And my vision was to use these levels of engagement in creating experiences that turn passive consumers into active participants. So enough about me. This entire presentation is going to be applicable knowledge and information for you to be able to apply in your everyday life. I will be focusing on marketing, but you really could be using these levels in your marriage, in your potential marriage, with your employees, or in marketing. So my first question for the audience is, would you get engaged to someone if you didn't know their name? What about their favorite food? The songs they love to dance to, if they love the same sports teams as you? Probably not. And I want you to think about that question throughout this presentation, because the way that we are marketing to customers is we are forgetting that they're human beings and they want to be seen and heard and they want to be personally connected with. And in this regard, if you want to be engaged to them, if you want to sell them a product, if you want to ask them to do something for you, you better know about them and make sure that they know that you know about them. So I want to talk about, why does engagement even matter? Customers who are fully engaged represent a 23% share of profitability. When I wrote my thesis, I found that as people were more highly engaged, they were more highly achieving. 71% of employees rank employee engagement as being optimal for the best possible productivity in the workplace. 52% of customers are less likely to connect with you based on a bad mobile experience. Can you raise your hand if you love a brand and you've actually checked out their app and it was horrible and you just said, I can't even deal with this? You know what it feels like. 49 to 57% of marketers are not satisfied with the current marketing tools, and Marketer Insider Group says that that's a huge vulnerability in the marketplace. And customers don't interact as much as they would with B2C or B2B companies because they are receiving content that is not relevant to them. This is a huge problem. We're being inundated with content that doesn't matter to us. So, what does this mean? Who cares? We are creating a world of apathetic customers, employees, and possibly even husbands. You could ask mine, I'm just kidding. But in this world of apathy, these people do not care. They're overwhelmed. Your customers are overwhelmed with content that does not mean anything to them. And so they can't be engaged by what you're trying to sell them because you haven't reached them in an emotional way. So how do you define engagement? Let's call out in the audience. Just scream how you define engagement. I'll hear it. If you don't scream, it means you're not engaged, which is the whole problem with this presentation. So just someone scream it. Be brave. Likes. Thank you. What else? What is it? Attention. What about comments? Keep going, keep going. What? Affection? Action. Excitement. Passion. Marriage proposals. There are so many different ways to define engagement. Even in this audience, everyone had different ways of describing engagement. So let's talk about who's good at engagement before I jump into what these 7 levels are and how to apply them into your life. Here we have Nike, Patagonia, Zappos, REI, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga. All of these brands, even these people who are considered brands, have something in common. Besides the fact that they have emotionally connected with their customers, they also, that woke you up, have reached the 7th level of engagement. So what does that mean? I'm really kind of teasing this. I'm talking about the 7th level and you're still like, what is she talking about? What does the 7th level mean? So currently, the way that we think about customers is they're disengaged or they're engaged. And it's as simple as that. They either don't like your brand or they do. But that's not correct. How should we define engagement? This is the way Catalyst Creative defines engagement. And what I will tell you is at the end of this, there's a website. You'll be able to get all these resources for free, download worksheets, download field guides, but you can certainly take a photo of this. I would more recommend everyone in the audience take a photo of this, because this is I'm going to be really referring to this slide for the rest of the presentation. These are very academic words for each level, but if you read the descriptions, it's very easy to understand and to digest, and you'll be able to actually understand what I'm talking about over the next 15 minutes. See people taking pictures? I'll be like Vanna White. Here you go. Okay, hope we all got it. Great. So you're probably thinking, what does this mean for me? Nice story, but how can this be applied for my life? So the way that we broke this up to be able to teach you these 7 levels are 3 buckets. The first bucket is attract. It's all about earning trust. The middle bucket is amplify. Once you earn the trust, you can then ask something of your customers. And the top bucket is delight. This will all be online as well if I rush through the slides. So let's talk about the attract bucket. I'm looking through the audience and hoping that no one is doing this right now. It seems like you're all awake. So this is disengagement. And while most people think that disengagement is the enemy of engagement, it's not. It's actually the first level of engagement. And so there's hope. The way that I'm going to be teaching you about this is I've identified marketing examples, but again, you could apply this to other parts of your life. So disengagement occurs when someone is avoiding or idle from your task. An action associated with this would be you put something on Instagram, you serve an ad on Instagram, and someone scrolls right past it. A question that would arise from that action is, are the people that I'm supposed to be talking to even on Instagram? Who is my customer and what are the platforms they're using? And in terms of a goal that would come from this level, maybe the goal would be to be able to have a better click-through rate, have a better conversion rate in terms of the ad that you're placing. The next level is unsystematic engagement. And remember, this is all in the earn, trust, attract bucket. You've all made this face before, probably even on a date. So unsystematic engagement occurs when someone is confused by the messaging. How many times have you walked in a room, this is a big thing with marketers, and they use so much jargon that you're like, what are you talking about? Jargon is in this level of unsystematic engagement. An action would be something like someone visits your website and you ask them to do something and you're describing your services and they don't get past your homepage. Ooh. A question would be, is my messaging clear and concise for the person that I'm speaking to? And a goal might be to decrease my bounce rate, decrease people from actually bouncing off of the page. So you'll see that these actions, again, kind of flow into each other. These items in these levels are not fully segmented, but the most important thing to note is with this bucket of earned trust, that this is the foundation of how you're communicating with your customers. And all of these levels have to be met. The next level is frustrated engagement. This is our life. It is so difficult in this world of distractions. All of social media is frustrated engagement to connect with a customer. So the one thing I will say about this is don't create your own distractions. An action for frustrated engagement is someone goes on your website and they're about to click out, they're about to purchase something and it takes too much time to load. So what do? No, thank you. The question that would arise is my website properly optimized? Am I ensuring that this is a quick, speedy experience for my customers and I'm not creating more distractions? And a goal might be, again, to actually work with a developer to optimize your website load time. Okay, so we've just talked about who is your customer, where are they, and how to talk to them. Once you've earned their trust, you can start to amplify your message. So I have a question for the audience. Raise your hand if you are over the age of 5. Okay, this guy in the front row is 5 years old, but you look great for your age. So that was structure-dependent engagement. Structure-dependent engagement is when you ask something from a group. It's not really much of a sacrifice. It wasn't that big of a deal for you to raise your hand. It would be like if I told the lions from Lion King, hey, lions, scream yas, and they all did that. So structure-dependent engagement is based on an instruction. An action in marketing could be that you put a post up and you say, comment below on your favorite ice cream flavor. A question might come if, let's say, the people start liking your post but not commenting, is what are you actually asking of them, and can you clearly communicate why you're asking that? And a goal might be, in order to be able to launch a campaign that has an incentive for people to want to comment, to want to post. When it comes to an incentive, a carrot on a stick, you're actually bringing them up to the next level, which is called self-regulated interest. Does everyone know who this is in this audience? I'm trying to figure out age. Can everyone scream out who this is? Okay, thank God. Some people just nodded their heads. I saw someone nod their heads. I'm old. Oh my gosh. So this was a very famous commercial with Shaq eating tacos. The thing about self-regulated interest is it's really what's in it for me. So I believe that influencer marketing falls under this bucket. And the problem with influencer marketing is if you're leveraging an influencer's following, but you're not having a very integrative approach to why you're connecting with that influencer, how your brand has to do with that influencer, you're going to have a huge drop-off. So the question that would arise is, let's say I worked with an influencer on a campaign. The question would be, how am I leveraging a giveaway, or how am I leveraging an experience that's really intrinsic to my brand's offering? And maybe a goal would be a very specific metric like emails or website traffic so that you can then walk that user to the next step. So an example would be, hey, I saw you like I saw that you want to have a taco because Shaq likes tacos. This is why we worked with Shaq on our tacos. Now you can win tickets to a basketball game if you buy this many tacos. It's creating the story of why it makes sense, and it's bringing the users into your narrative so you're not leaving them hanging just because they like Shaq. Okay, we are at the final bucket, the delight bucket. This is at the point now where you've earned their trust, you've amplified your message, and now you want to ask them to marry you. You want to ask them to work at your company. You want to ask them to buy your product. You want to ask them to share with all of their friends. This is that highest level of engagement. So I'm a teacher, so I need audience participation. What show is this? Does anyone know? Biggest Loser, awesome. I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna get that one. So this is Jillian from Biggest Loser, and she's saying, I'm proud of you because you did it, not because I made you do it, because you did it. Damn, you did it. So critical engagement is when a message inspires someone to transform their own life and set goals. I think of Weight Watchers as an example, but any brand can do this, and it doesn't have to be so extreme. One example is a hotel maybe having a sustainability program and inspiring other people to try different types of sustainability initiatives at home, like maybe turn the sink off when they brush their teeth. A question that would come up is, how are you expressing what you stand for? How are you expressing your values so that other people can connect with you from that place? And a goal might be developing a campaign where people can share their personal stories of how you inspired them. Okay, this is the holy grail of engagement. This is what we are all striving for, but we are forgetting that there's 6 levels below this. It's not as simple as just being able to create an emotional connection with the customer by posting some cool stuff on Instagram. It takes time and thought and energy. So literate thinking is indicated when a person can pull from their personal values, beliefs, feelings, emotions, experiences to personally connect with your brand. That man loved Apple so much that he put it all over his chest. An action might be, your customers are posting pictures about your brand without you even asking. A question that you might end up asking yourself is, how are you making these people feel special? How are you thanking them? How are you incentivizing them? And the goal might be to be able to create a personalized approach to customer loyalty, making sure that the people that you have gotten married to feel loved. And so I'm gonna be showing you a few examples of literate thinking because, as I mentioned, this is the holy grail. The first example for the 7th level is Harley Davidson. So when you Google Harley Davidson tattoos on Google, obviously, you will get 17.9 million results. People are tattooing a logo on their body. That's because they feel, not that the logo is cool, maybe they feel that, but that it actually identifies with who they are. Harley Davidson's tagline right now on their website is "Live Freer." It embodies who they are. It's their identity. And they love it so much that they actually want to tattoo it on their body. Does anyone have a Harley Davidson tattoo in this audience? Oh my God, that would be so amazing if you did. It's unfortunate. I've been talking about marketing this entire time, but I wanted to talk about work a little bit. This is from Fortune magazine, The Best Places to Work. And if you can read some of these descriptions, in Salesforce, it talks about the company is committed to learning and innovating. Wegmans, it talks about the fact that there's a sense of purpose. With Ultimate Software, it talks about how the company came together when someone's loved one passed away. They're not talking about how much money they make. They're not talking about their healthcare benefits. They're talking about a personal connection to the identity of the organization. Anyone Beyonce fans? Of course, great. So Beyonce is, to me, one of the top examples for the 7th level. Can we all just do what she's doing in the video really quickly? I don't have as much of an engaged audience, it's fine. She's Beyonce. So Beyonce, she does that and everyone does it. I do it and like 10 people do it. So she has a Bayhive. She has people that are obsessed with her. When she says do something, they do it. They learn her dance moves. They wear her merchandise. And more importantly, when someone offends Beyonce, when someone writes something about Beyonce, like Kid Rock saying that he doesn't really understand the big deal with Beyonce, her followers, her Bayhive, attack the people that say something about her with tons of bees. They literally have done this time and time again. You should Google it. It's unbelievably interesting. And that's because they feel attacked. They feel like when someone says something about Beyonce, they're saying something about them. And they have this personal connection, literate thinking, this personal identity that's associated with Beyonce. Okay, so this is my last example, and I do need a raise of hands based on how I describe this. Who has seen When Harry Met Sally? Oh my gosh, not everyone. Again, showing my age. So When Harry Met Sally is like OG romantic comedy. It's one of the original romantic comedies. And the whole story is these two friends, they are going back and forth with being together. They don't really want to be together. But then towards the end, Sally's super into Harry, and Harry doesn't really realize he's into Sally until he rushes to a New Year's party and he says, "I love you." And she says, "No, you don't. You don't love me. You're just lonely, and it's New Year's, and that's why you're saying you love me." And then he goes into this entire soliloquy, which I'm about to play now. It's only 1 minute.
I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich. I love that you get a little crinkle above your nose when you're looking at me like I'm nuts. I love that after I spend a day with you, I can still smell your perfume on my clothes. And I love that you are the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep at night. And it's not because I'm lonely, and it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
You see? That is just like you, Harry. You say things like that and you make it impossible for me to hate you. And I hate you, Harry. I really hate you.
Thank you. I wrote that myself. And sorry for ruining the ending for those who did not see When Harry Met Sally. So the point of that is, the point of that was to show. He comes and says, "I love you," and she's like, "No, you don't, I don't believe you, I don't trust you." But then he pulls from these personal values and beliefs. He pulls from these stories that connect the two of them. He pulls from these narratives that show he understands her, that he connects with her, that he emotionally wants to be with her. And that's when she says, "I can't hate you. I need to be with you," and the movie ends again. Sorry. So that's the seventh level. That's what we're all striving for. And what we've done is we've created a website, the-7thlevel.com. I will be sharing a blog on When Harry Met Sally, from literally disengagement to the 7th level. I analyzed the entire movie. It'll be very interesting. But there's a field guide here. There's a worksheet. And I hope that this theory and the 7th level method will help you with your business, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your husband, with your wife, and will help you emotionally connect with people in a meaningful way. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amanda. It's good. We'll have the link and the resources up too. We'll share that with everybody as well so you can capture that.